everybody. If you're watching this, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. All right. So I'm back for another review of Love After Lockup. How mentally stable are you? Season 5, episode 34. Um so we I don't know. This was still a good episode. It's a good season so far. And I saw the preview. I didn't know for Life After Lockup we was gonna get Teeny and Rob again because we need to explain. I need some real explanations and updates on how all them cameras and stuff are going. Anyway, so Keith and Leticia, I'm gonna start with them because we don't really get anywhere with them. So Aunt Marcia comes to get the kids. Okay, Leticia's 2 kids. Aunt Marcia is always involved and around. Um, for me, it's a bit too much. That's his family, not hers. And seeing that y'all were not with each other on the outside first or married before he went to prison, it's gonna be a no for me to constantly have your kids around. And I'm not even saying like she necessarily is a bad person or something. It just something about it. And Naraya, her oldest daughter, always seems sad or upset. And granted, at that age, you have a lot of things going on. Your hormones are changing, estrogen levels up, and it's because your body is changing, you're changing, and it's a lot of things you just can't control with puberty. But my problem is that Leticia is so over involved with Keith. Her energy, her stress, her focus is always on him. And it's really sad because that daughter's energy, I can tell. She just really seems, I'm no, psychologist, but she does seem depressed. And her mother does not seem to be responding appropriately to what she needs. However, she seems to respond to everything she thinks Keith needs. Okay. But she doesn't seem concerned with Naraya. That girl needs help and support. She does. Not the aunt of a man that is not her father. Or, you know what I mean? Like, that's not her blood. Taking her and dropping her off at school. Anyway, so Leticia gets on the phone. Leticia, right? It's Leticia, not Leticia. Sorry. Leticia. She calls the number on the sheriff's pink slip that got left on the door. I said, ooh, child, already? He ain't even out? And y'all getting deputy? Never mind. Anyway, so there were several motions that were filed according to the person that she's calling from the sheriff's number that was left on her doorknob. They said, she kept saying she paid this guy named Ben $1,000 for immediate release to get the paperwork or whatever done. To get Keith out quickly because there was some new law, we heard about, whatever. All right, and I was like, why does she keep quoting the paralegal? Like in all the interviews, I was like, why do you have a paralegal working on this shit? You call, and I'm gonna keep it real. You call a lawyer for a reason. You call a doctor for a reason. Paralegals and nurses are people that assist the doctor. I know people go, oh well, nurses do most of the work. Not the work that you need. Not in the sense that like the servicing. I'm not suggesting that what they do is somehow, not useful. Nurses don't perform surgery. Being around doctors, being around lawyers does not make you one. Okay? Like, you need, and that's why the person was like, did you file this? I forget the way she said it, but it was very clear. Did you file this with a state registered attorney, like a real attorney, right? Anyway, they have different and longer, anyway. Honestly, $1,000 didn't seem like that much to pay somebody to get this done that quickly, especially in terms of like legal fees. So the person over the phone asked, if her husband filed this petition from jail. And Leticia goes, no, not from prison. Girl, why are you lying? You want all these answers and you lying to this woman over the phone who clearly knows you're lying. Where else, if he filed something directly, where else did he file from if it wasn't from prison? And he's in prison. It's not like asking somebody, oh, did you print this out at your house or at your job? Okay, because those are places that fluctuate, this, that, and the other, or the library. It doesn't work like that. He's in prison. He's always there. Why do you keep lying to me? I was like, girl, she spends her days chasing after him. And it's just some foolishness. She ain't talked to him all this other stuff. So we don't get any further than that in the episode. All she's gonna do is try to go find Ben, who seems like he has scammed her, and it is really unfortunate. Nevertheless, we'll be moving on. All right, so we got a new person. All right, or a new couple, a person and a half, because you know how this goes. Sometimes they make it there, sometimes they don't. Bianca and Daniel. Bianca's 23 and living in Florida. Daniel is incarcerated in Arizona and he's 31. That's a big age gap already. And, you know, people always talk about, oh, they're legal, this and the other. They can be, sure. Legal age of consent. There are ages that I just think, even 23 to 27 is still, I think, a big gap. Especially in terms of mental development, whatever. Daniel's incarcerated for burglary and aggravated DUI. I'm not sure what aggravated DUI is, but okay. So she's unemployed and getting played. And I was like, how the hell is she unemployed? And that's so she may have just graduated from college. But I think what I was trying to really understand, because we know how these shows go. The person who's not in prison is usually giving people money hand over fist, right? And providing. I was like, unemployed? What's she doing? But we get to that. So apparently Daniel can't leave Arizona at least for 4 months before it's determined whether he can leave. We've seen this movie before, right? So, okay. So she said she found a place and paid all 4 months up front. I was like, oh, gosh. Why did you pay all 4 months up front? No, 4 months don't even sound like a lease. You know what I mean? Like people, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, but 2 years. But like it doesn't usually, you already making bad decisions. All right. So she has a scar underneath her neck or whatever. I was like, oh no, did she get in a fight or something? Anyway, because she went out with a friend one night, her friend offered to take her home and she didn't realize her friend was drunk. And her friend drove into a concrete wall, like going toward like an airport. And anybody knows who in those airports how big those concrete walls are. As she told the story, I was just like, Jesus. And baby girl, you up here talking about how you insecure about that scar. Let me tell you something. It's a blessing that you're still alive at all. But you're alive. You can talk after 3 months of not being able to talk, and you can walk. You're a living testimony. You'll be all right. Don't worry about it. So now I understand that she was traumatized by the experience, right? And is currently making bad decisions. And people do a lot of things, particularly after really traumatic incidents like that. And this is one of those events where we can actually use the word trauma that's not throwing it around. She needs counseling. She does. Like many people have a traumatic experience, but Daniel is not going to fix these problems. He can't help her. She's looking for help, support, comfort. I'm not sure where her parents are, but she really needs people that love her. She seems to have good friends, or was it her sister? But anyway, she seems to at least have 2 good people around her. So she's not allowed, she said, to talk about the specifics. Maybe that was one of the details of the accident. The settlement. But apparently she says she has no problem saying she has plenty of money. I said, oh, maybe that's why she's not working. And Daniel knows how much she has. And I said, baby, no. That's the only reason why he's with you from that far away. Her voice is kind of annoying. Anyway, Andres is her best friend. And they got to know each other in history class. And then Andres went to rehab in high school. I said, what? But I like Andres. I fucks with Andres. Okay, because he gives good advice. All right. So Daniel said he's talking to her, I guess, he had talked to her over the phone. Well, I guess where else would he talk to her? Anyway, she lives in Florida. He lives in Arizona. So Daniel said he doesn't want to stay in a halfway house, but he wants to stay with her when he gets out. And her friend Andres was like, he has to go to the halfway house or he goes back to prison. And she was like, well, I don't know if that's the case. He was like, no. That's how this works. That is the case, and he has to go. Yeah, chica, that's not how it works. So already, because you don't know the specifics, he's already bullshitting. Okay? So then she lets us know he's been acting weird for the past few weeks. I said, weeks? From prison over the phone? Not days, weeks? Girl. He already got what he wanted from you in terms of money. He has someone else with money that he's playing. These are all red flags that you too can avoid if you stay your ass at home. So Andres asked to talk to him over the phone, and he said, you know, are you going to treat her well, and are you going to go to the halfway house? Two of the most important things you can ask, whether you think he's lying or not. One, my interest is with my friend here to make sure that she is going to be treated right by a man that we don't know, have not met, didn't grow up with, so on and so forth. Two, are you going to go to the halfway house to help you with your sobriety? Because if you aren't moving towards sobriety, you can't really help her. Okay, you're not a good addition to her life. All right, so then he tries to throw it back in Andre's face over the phone and says, well, you've been in there. And he was like, yeah, that's how I know. Like, you try to throw that back in his face like, oh, I ain't the only one with a drinking problem, this, that, and the other. Maybe not. But somebody who's been through it, this is why in Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff like that, that's why you have a sponsor. Somebody who's been through it to tell you, hey, these are the things you need to look out for. This is what you need to do. Like, I didn't appreciate that at all. And his dismissiveness, the aggravation in his voice and the anger in his voice, just from him asking those questions, I can already tell you this is somebody unhinged. So Andres then, like I said, asked all the right questions. And then still after he got off the phone, he was like, are you planning to drink? Or are you planning to support him in his sobriety by not drinking? You know, because some people try to help you with that by not having alcohol around. Andres wasn't saying for her not to drink, but he was basically letting her know there's a lot that comes with somebody who's trying to get over addiction. And this is not somebody you know. So he did say, what you're doing is crazy. Now, see, I love somebody who doesn't mince words in the name of trying to support their friend, only because, and I don't mean like the kind of nasty, sarcastic stuff where somebody may be giving you the right advice, but they're secretly kind of jealous of you and so they want to harm you. No. Andres wanted to make sure it was clear to her that as your friend, he didn't say all this, but as your friend, I love you, but what you're doing is crazy to your face. And that's going to stick in her head, especially if she ended up going out there to Arizona. So I like Andres, okay? So she's leaving her family, her friends, her foundation to go to another state where she doesn't know anybody. She's going to be a stepmom if he gets custody. He doesn't even want to go to the halfway house to prove in that 4 months' time that he can handle sobriety. Baby, he ain't getting custody. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay? And they don't know if he's going to stay in the halfway house. And I said, he's already causing more problems than he's worth. Spend that money on a psychologist and psychiatrist. And I'm not even trying to be funny, because she really has had a traumatic experience and is just doing what people do sometimes and they make bad decisions. So she also decides to call his mother. And they're on a video call. The stepfather leans into the camera and asks Bianca, how mentally stable are you? I said, now she gets off the phone and Andre says, well, look, I thought what the dad said was disrespectful. It was. He didn't laugh. He didn't make it. The mama snatched the phone trying to avoid whatever else was going to come out of his mouth. And she was like, I am mentally stable. Is your son mentally stable after all I've done for your son? Now, I'm not going to lie. That's the kind of reaction I would have had too. But also within that, I thought to myself, girl, if you have to ask, is your son mentally stable, even as a comeback, these are all reasons why you shouldn't be bothered with him. Because that means you already know something's wrong with him. And granted, the stepfather could have been, and I felt like it was disrespectful and rude, but he could have also been like, how mentally stable are you that you going after this joker? Well, anyway, but we'll see how this turns out, and it'll probably be like the rest, a mess. All right, let's see. True and Shante. And I know people, look, I know there's a lot of people who just don't rock with me on this, but I I'm sorry. When it comes to Shante, for some reason, I feel sorry for her. I really do. And I know I go in on all these other people, but for some reason, there's just something about her. I guess because she always looks sad to me. She seems depressed. She seems like she's in a bout where she has low self esteem. And she feels like this is the best she can do. And I think that's why I feel bad for her. Like, I don't feel sorry for Leticia or Zaria. But, like, or damn sure not Kimmy, Kim, Joey, whatever. But for some reason, for Shante, I really feel sorry for her. Anyway, so they're getting into it again. This is, mind you, he ain't been out of prison 48 hours. So she was like, he doesn't understand how much money is coming out of my pocket for all of this stuff, this, that, and the other. I was like, he doesn't. But also, you haven't told him. All right? Because you feel like that's the way to keep him. So she told him she thinks he's the problem. He is. Okay? He is, period. He looks her directly in the face and lies and then gaslights her by trying to make her verbally explain why she thinks he's the problem and what am I doing to upset you, as if he has not dogged her out, calling her boring, calling her a homebody, pulling disappearing acts, not going to check in with his parole officer. Are you kidding me? And he's not. He knows exactly what he's doing. So like I said, it hadn't even been 48 hours. He's like, we should go back to dating and building. Now, if that ain't a college freshman, a spring college freshman line that the other guys, the upperclassmen tell a freshman to use so they can get all the girls that they want, I don't know what it is. Anyway, but you too grown for that. All right, but we already knew if anybody been locked up in prison. First of all, I want True to act his place on the beauty scale, okay? Which is like 1.3 to 6, depending on who's looking, whether they have 20/20 vision or not. Like, I just want you to act like what you look like. I'm gonna need you to humble yourself, okay? Because you are nobody's catch. You have no job. You don't have training of any sort. And you are really acting like you're a catch. I'm like, huh? Anyway, then he says he's not in a clear mind frame to be exclusive in dating. But you've asked a woman to marry you. Y'all have been engaged for a year and 9 months. If it bothered you that much that she didn't come to see you in prison, why the fuck didn't you call it off? Because she was giving you money. Okay. But she asked, this is what I mean. I feel like Shante is smart in the sense that she knows what's happening. She knows what he's doing. But her self-esteem just makes her want to kind of hold on to him. Her low self-esteem. Because she asked clear and direct questions like, do you want to be dating and building, exclusively dating and building? Do you just want to be friends? What is it? So when he said I'm still not going to be focused on any female. He's not focused on his freedom either. You see how much energy he put into going to see his parole officer. And I'm just sitting up here like she has bought a new house. And this joker, I'm trying. This joker said he's still going to go back and parole with her, like he's doing her a favor, and sleep with her and stuff. And he says this. He still wants to essentially live off of her and sleep with her at his convenience and still do whatever the hell he wants. Sir, that's a no. Okay? And I hope she was just like, okay, because she plans to pull the rug out from under this motherfucker. It better be that, Shante. Please don't accept that. And your kids ain't gonna have it, and them nieces damn sure ain't gonna have it. I can't stand, and then he has nerve in the interview. If there's one thing I can't stand, these are people I don't listen to on like TikTok, Instagram. I don't care what they've done, said, who they married to, how many kids. I don't care how much money they make. I don't care. I cannot stand men who lecture women on how to date. It's just like I don't trust anybody in these marriages that are always on apps giving other people marriage advice. Like, when do y'all have fun? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been out and just had a good time and I don't have no pictures on my phone. Because I'm not thinking that when I'm having fun. Like, and that to me, it's just always a game. Ladies, this is what I'm doing to put you up on game. Why? Why? Because you want to appear like the good guy so you get more women in your, like, just stop. I see through all that dumb game. Anyway, him of all people, barely out of jail for getting his parole officer going to get Wendy's and not bringing me nothing back, ass, has the nerve to say, well, ladies, if females who are dating a dude in prison, he was like, all y'all, make sure y'all go and visit him. He was like, we could have avoided this if she would have just come to see me. No responsibility, no, like, now that I'm free, I just feel like it's too much to take on a relationship, a marriage. I don't have a job. No responsibility whatsoever. And he has clearly lived an irresponsible life. It's always like, but it's her fault. If only she had done this. If only she wasn't like this. Well, that's who she is. So Shante is stressed out. Who wouldn't be? Every day she said, I put him, before me, this, that, and the other. And I'm sure collectively we all said, see, that's why you can't do that. For kids, sure. Because children are dependent on you. Children cannot take care of themselves. Grown men can and need to find a way to. How about that? Anyway, and then he said he doesn't want to be engaged to her because she's a homebody and boring. And that hurt her feelings. That bothered her. So he says he still wants to go to Independence with her, the city or whatever. She asked, well, why do you even want to go with me? And she tells us that the real reason why she hasn't walked out on him is because she loves him. No, you're lonely. You're lonely, Shante. You're lonely. He says, so we can get to know each other and enjoy each other's company. No, because the parole office has that address there. That's why. It's not because he cares. If that's the case, then why isn't he hanging out with you? She asked him, what is he dressed up for? I was like, is that dressed up? But anyway, and he was like, oh, he's going to the gym. So he's up just to go to the gym with his sister and meet up with Tisha. First of all, there's already problems. His sister and Shante, if they're going somewhere, why is Shante always the last to know? Why aren't they doing more things together? I get that that's time with her brother, if that was really the case. It's not time with her brother if you got your friend Tisha coming to meet him. Honestly, you couldn't have told me that his sister, Tisha wasn't her girlfriend. That's what I thought they were alluding to. But okay. They go to the gym and meet up, this, that, and the other. And I'm sitting up here like, it is one thing to not tell on your brother because your loyalty is to your family. It's another thing to help actively set him up with people. And what kind of fucking friend are you that you wanted to have your friend talking to your brother while he in prison? That ain't good for him or her or y'all's friendship. She ain't a friend of nobody. Anyway, so he was talking and flirting with her back in 2018. I don't know how he remembered this. It's one thing to not say, like I said, what your brother is doing. It's another thing to try to actively start to break them up. Like, why? What does his sister do for a living? Are they all, scammers? Are they selling stuff on Temu? What's happening? Anyway, all right, so we got them out the way. Kim and Joey. Now, this is another one that's going to piss me off. Because, Kim, you fucking up. Okay, we already knew you was a messed up person, but you really messing up, especially with your kids. They go eat. She claims this is their first date. Great, you get to pay for it. I doubt you'll have the outcome. Never mind, I'm not going to even start. So apparently they snuck around with each other in 2018. She was cheating on her partner at the time, who cheated on her first. That's what she told us, okay? But we know how she get around, how she did her own cousin. So, anyway, so she said sleeping with Joey at first was revenge for her ex cheating on her. She said she told him the divorce isn't finalized because he's asking, well, when is that going to be over? She said because he refuses to sign the papers. And I was like, isn't she practically raising these kids on her own? But then I thought to myself, that doesn't matter. Men do that kind of stuff to try to control people. He thinks, if he doesn't get a divorce, she won't be able to be with anybody. A chick like Kim, you must not know who you with. So the kids, and this is not I'm not talking bad about the kids, but I'm making a point about Kim's character. Kim's ex, that she said she got pregnant, and so therefore she went back to him, and the affairs continued. And so she wanted to end the marriage. Totally get it. despite his blurred out face, we know that her ex, her soon to be ex husband, but at least somebody she's not in a relationship with anymore, was black. Now, granted, genetics are a funny thing, but neither one of those children even look kind of black. Bless their hearts. But considering the kind of person that Kim has told us she is, based on her behavior, I think it is a reasonable question to ask about paternity. Okay? Don't she seem like somebody who would have been on Maury back in the day? Anyway, the kind that you watch on Teacher's Workday, and hope you, at least me, I hope my mother wouldn't find out because she didn't want to let us watch this stuff. Anyway. So, yeah, it's just, the kids can't help it. I'm just saying, I have questions to Kim, the adult. Anyway, they stay in like this small, like log cabinish looking thing. It's like a bed and breakfast. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I actually thought that was cute. I really actually thought it was a cute little setup. I like the little rustic look. She's nervous about having sex for the first time because of her body. Everybody has the same story at a prison, and it never makes a difference. Okay, it's like in Eat, Pray, Love, when they're like, "Have you ever seen a man get out the bed once you're naked?" Like. Yeah, exactly. Not real men. Anyway, catch. All right. So he's talking about he thinks they made a baby the night before. She was like, I don't think we're ready for that. He, of course, says in the confessional, he doesn't think they're ready for that, but he never uses protection. And he hunkered down on that when he said it. I was like, first of all, I can't even tell you how gross that is. I was like, where are his STD results? People in prison should have regular access to STD testing, right? That's how they would keep up with HIV rates in prison, because they have those, right? I need to know what's happening with you, because the way he said, I never use protection, I'm like, what has he been doing in prison? I mean, let's just be real. Not even like, oh, he may have engaged in gay sex. Well, whatever. But I mean, like, you never use protection, though. People have conjugal visits. People mess around. Like, That's insane. Gross. Then he tells her that, kids are like dogs. All you gotta do is buy them treats and something. They'll be loyal to you. First of all, somebody who's supposed to be coming in as stepdaddy saying you buy kids gifts and they'll be not. I'm sorry, that sounds like what people do when they harm or abuse kids and then try to give them gifts and things like that. I'm not saying that he's doing that, but that's what that sounded like. All right? So they get to a toy store. She gives him her card to go in and get her kids presents because he wanted to. What you should have said, Kim, ma'am, because you a dummy. What the fuck you hand somebody a card for to go in a store to buy things for your kids that he's never formally met or knows them well enough to buy at Christmas time when you're letting us know you're a teacher's aide making $15 an hour, which I actually think is a very nice home for somebody who makes $15 an hour, but that's just me. You don't go in with him to see how much money he's putting on your card. And that woman, I thought, said $316.50. When he got back in the car, he was like, I don't know, about $318. Baby, you should have been on that app checking. You should have never let that man have that car by himself. I'm sure you done already bought your kids Christmas gifts and everything else. What the hell? And how are these people having their license right out of prison? Because Troy got his. Troy ain't gonna never have his. What is his government name? Y'all know his real name is not true. Anyway, so she was like, I need him to understand that I don't really have money like that. I said, well, bitch, you knew that when you handed the card over. The fuck? Like, anyway, so they're going to meet the kids for the first time on Christmas Eve. I said, it was Christmas Eve? She's like, well, this is our first night together as a family. Why do you have your kids around this man so soon? And I don't care. I don't care. Nope. No excuses. All right. Right out of prison, and then you have pics of him in prison on the wall when he asked you to marry. Like, that's a lot to put on a kid. I mean, I think it's strange, especially with kids in the house. It's not like she lives by herself. Shout out to the mama for knowing when to leave and give her child space. And of course, that would be the mother that's not annoying, right? Nevertheless, they could have let mama stay for the holiday, but it seemed like she had other stuff she had to get to because her outfit was a little snazzy. All right. But that's all we get in them. I am concerned. It's given, what was that girl's name? Taylor and Chance. That's what it's giving. All right. So Zaria and Troy. I heard Troy call her Zaria in the confessional. So apparently I think that's the way it's pronounced. And I don't want to mess it up, but I would imagine somebody who's been on the phone with her for years would know how to pronounce her name. So it's Zaria. All right. I could pronounce it as Zaria. Anyway, they start the party favors in the hotel bedroom, whatever. She finds out he's not small. Okay, girl. Look, just quit telling America, because you're going to be mad when somebody comes after your man because now you done bragged about it. You can't tell people stuff like that. So apparently she invited his mom. And then she says she thinks he needs to go pick her up from the train. I said, okay. First, I can tell you that a man who doesn't have a good relationship with his mother is a red flag. Because men, with their resentment and the way they're wired, often operate with violence toward women because of that. Period. Women who don't grow up with, for all this other shit we hear about women and, you know, well, black women don't grow up with fathers. Yeah, well, whose fault is that? Like, but the way that women, it's like women who don't have mothers who still grow up to be good mothers. Like they actually overcorrect and try to protect their kids to give them what they don't have. Men don't seem to respond like that to their childhood. Anybody can say, oh, they're generalizations, because that is largely true. Anyway, that being said, he was absolutely fucking right. She took it upon herself to invite somebody back into his life with minutes of a warning. Not cool, Zaria. Not cool. He only lived with his father off and on. His father has passed. His mother dropped him off at her best friend's house and did not come back to get him. She is overwhelming him with this bullshit with the, well, that's still your mother. Yeah, it is. And you think somebody who's been in prison and somebody who's had that kind of trauma and never had that kind of relationship with their mother doesn't know that? Yeah, that's still my mother. You think that doesn't eat at him? But he gets out of prison, once again, another one, less than 48 hours, and you got this woman some kind of train ticket to come and see her son, who she has not gone to see in prison, who she has not taken care of throughout his life. Well, you know what? That's his blood mother, but this is not the person that he has loved and depended on. She hasn't played that kind of role. And that was a fucked up thing for you to do. Okay? He confided in you about this stuff. And then you bombard him with the fuck shit when he gets out as a way to quote unquote fix it. It's not like he grew up with this woman. That's not cool. And people have real psychological breakdowns when you throw things at them like that. Triggering people like that is messed up, Zaria. Okay? Then you invite her to stay with y'all. She didn't come to visit him once after being in his life. As far as I'm concerned, she's a fucking stranger. Now, I will give it to Zaria that she had sense enough to send her son to go stay with her mother at his grandparents' house while they brought in other strangers the first night. I can at least give her that. Okay? Because that was not irresponsible of her. How do we know she's not just coming to see him so she can be on TV? Zaria, everybody doesn't have a supportive family like you. You have to keep that in mind. And the problem is you can say that's still your mother, so on and so forth. And I do think to a large extent respect should be there. That doesn't mean he deserves to be re-traumatized with his mother's lack of maternal instinct, except in the case where she's given her opinion about you. So she's saying that Azael, for some reason I heard Isaiah originally, but it's Azael. Her son is excited to have Troy as a father in his life. Let me tell you something. Changing the name on the birth certificate of who his father is really too much and disrespectful. I don't care if he is the shittiest father that ever existed. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. He has a father, and at some point, whether he's in his life or not, he will want to know his father, meet his father, know his roots, his health history, stuff like that. So to put another man on that birth certificate, not simply try to switch over parental rights and things like that. No. Don't put that man's name on the birth certificate. You trying to knock this man out of his life, and he seems to be doing a good job of it. But genealogy is genealogy. Biology is biology. You see what I mean? Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Cut it out. So she is saying that he consistently showed up for my son throughout this time. How did he do that and he was in prison? I'm not even trying to be funny right now. Like, stop. Like, for real, for real. All right. Then she goes by herself with her sister and tells her about how they were having good sex. The sister is feeling awkward, maybe for multiple reasons, and says she doesn't even know if she wants to stay in the house with them anymore. I can totally understand that. She is telling us that Karen, who is Troy's mother, pushes her buttons, and they go back and forth a lot. I said, so why are you inviting her that quickly? You and her don't even get along. Is that what the producers told you to do? Was that worth really traumatizing your husband? So Troy is essentially set up and forced to go pick up his mother, okay? Despite all the trauma and all the resentment he has for a mother that essentially abandoned him. I will say this. I think Troy's demeanor is pleasant. Because he still expresses himself well. I told you he looked like he had just gotten out of college. I wouldn't have known he was in prison by the way he carries himself. This is too much, though. Less than 48 hours out of prison. Karen, his mom, shows up, and I can kind of tell what person she is. One, by the fact that she wearing bamboo earrings, and she like 60 years old, and they're silver at that. Also, I don't know where that comes from. They're silver at that, and then she like, well, where the hell is he at? And I was thinking to myself, ma'am, you could already tell by her attitude what kind of person she is. So anyway, he comes there. And, you know, he sits down with her and he asks her straight up, how come you didn't come and see me while I was in prison? And she was like, well, you know, the alcohol did all this to me growing up, as you were growing up, this and the other. She was an alcoholic. I understand. An addiction controls you. You don't control it after you get it. And alcoholism is a disease, okay, by the Center for Disease Control Standards. She still struggles with alcohol. He says to his mom, well, it's not about falling, it's how you get up. And I thought that was very sweet. And then I thought to myself, if you ask me, Troy started acting like the parent, giving her words of encouragement despite what she had done. She didn't really explain why she had not come to see him because she was talking about her alcoholism as he grew up. And he's talking about the 7 years he was in prison, or however many years he was in there. And he's trying to be there for her, but not vice versa. And that is the sign of a narcissistic parent, an unloving parent, and it really made me feel for him. And it also pissed me off with Zaria. Because you don't even go with him. Suppose this goes terrible. Yeah, because you don't even bother with this bitch either. So as soon as he asked about, you know, what's the relationship going to be like with you and my wife? Because he don't want her starting no bullshit. She starts saying, well, y'all need to get to know each other. Y'all don't know each other. I need to know what taste she had, this. I said, bitch, you could barely explain why you haven't seen your son. But that attitude switched all of a sudden. And her words came flowing out of her mouth when it came to Zaria. I don't know if they're going to last in the interview. You don't even hardly know your son. Child, it's too much for me. But anyway, that's all I got. Love, man, just comes back on tomorrow, though, y'all. Anyway, I'll see y'all soon. Bye.